The type of attention you get and who you get it from determines where we end up in life.
We are we got.
Jesus has already been accepted at the University of Texas in Austin, electrical
In a
engineering.
community where the statistics aren't the best, the default isn't the best either.
The gentleman who's going to be on the field representing South San,
Defensive captain of the varsity football team.
Mr. Jesus Rendon.
His life to giving back to this community.
St. Joseph's Catholic Church Choir.
So I decided to start a nonprofit called Building a Purpose.
And if we can raise that default to be something of higher standards,
Help students find their purpose in life.
I think we can do something
We all we need.
special by default.
Welcome to the Jesus Rendon podcast, where we talk about life, purpose, and God. Our next guest here is Mr. Alex Sanchez, who is a South San graduate, a longtime Bobcat supporter, and many of you students and community members will remember him as a band director at South San and the color guard director. He is a champion and the first person I knew to have an MBA back in the day, and I'll get more into that. Mr. Sanchez, thank you for coming on.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. I'm excited to do the podcast with you. So I'm going to be honest with you. I lost a little bit of sleep because I knew this was going to be exciting. We finally put it together, and here we are.
Yes. And I like to start these off just by introducing yourself and some of the history that you remember going through the system. Who is Alex Sanchez?
Okay, well, I'm grown and raised and brought up here in the South San area. Grew up on Masters and Pitlock out there by Laredo Highway. Ended up going to Price Elementary, Royal Gate Elementary, Athens. And then after that, on to middle school, Dwight Middle School. And then on to high school. And then in high school, I was in band. Believe it or not, I'm not lying to you, I was really kind of a quiet guy, kind of shy. I just kind of like rode with the waves and took it from there. But got in band and then really enjoyed it. I did enjoy sports. I tried sports, but after a couple of hits on the football field, I told myself, this is not for me. So I stuck out with band, and it was a blessing because I really ended up enjoying being in band. And then from there, I was blessed enough to get a scholarship to Texas A&I University in Kingsville, and I got my degree, my music degree, and then came back, and I told myself, I want to explore other programs, other means, and so on. So I got my first job at South San. And I told myself, I'm going to give my 100%. I'm going to really just give it all I have. But if another opportunity comes up, then, I got to keep my doors open. And lo and behold, I ended up being at South San 40 years.
40 years. What year did you start?
I started in 1977.
Wow.
1977. I put in 35 years. I retired. And then that 1 year that I was retired, I really wasn't retired. I went and worked with Central Catholic for 1 year. And then it just happens that there was an opening at South San once again. And I came back, and I don't recall who the superintendent was, but I told him, let's take it a year at a time. And then if it's all right with you, and he says, no, that's fine. We'll end up staying another 5 years. So total was about 40 years.
It's like when LeBron went back to Cleveland. Huh?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then, of course, many great experiences there at South San. I got to know the community. I got to know the kids. I got to know administrators. It was a very, very positive experience. And that's why I think it ended up staying 40 years, because it was family. I mean, I got treated like family. Everything I did was appreciated. I had great kids, fantastic kids. And they kind of reminded me of when I was growing up, because there was some real shy that needed pushing and so on. Talented kids, but just real reserved. So just pushing them to come out of the eggshell was a challenge. But once they came out of their eggshell, I mean, look out. Very, very successful kids in life and so on. You're a good example. You were my student. Now look at you, doing fantastic, making a big difference in the world. Okay.
Thank you.
But yeah, and so I ended up there 40 years. Started the mariachi program there. Started the color guard program there. Just many things. When I look back now, if I have any regrets, is that I feel I should have taken a little bit more time to spend more time with the community, because we're always so busy getting ready for competition and concerts and so on. And I knew the parents. But I felt I should have taken time to say, hey, Mr. Martinez, where it was, why don't y'all come over for lunch at my house on Saturday and so on, and let's celebrate the success of your kids because they're doing very well. I wish I would have done that. I did it every once in a while, but I look back now, I could have done it at least more. But other than that, no regrets. No regrets. Very, very positive experience. I was blessed and still blessed. And that's where we're at.
It's funny that you say that because I would argue that you were one of the most involving of the community, and especially with parades. Come parade season, I mean, all the parents you'd let walk with and I don't know if that's tradition, right, to invite the parents, but yeah, between you and Mr. Fonseca, I don't know of very many other people who were more passionate about South San. You guys walk around with a Bobcat stamp on your forehead, you know. and I think y'all both also had similar trajectories, right? In education, you were a principal at what, Royal Gate, and Mr. Fonseca at Kindred and Palo Alto. I mean, at Dwight. But him in athletics. Actually, you said in '77, so he would have been at South San when you were there, right? Do you remember him? As a student at South San?
Yeah.
Wow.
Matter of fact, I worked alongside with Fonseca because, of course, part of my duties as band director was not just worry about the high school, but I had to also work with the middle schools, and that's our foundation. And first time that I went to Dwight, and I already knew Mr. Fonseca. I already knew Thomas. But anyways, he says, hey, anything you need, whatever we can do to help the program. And he meant that. I mean, he was very, very big part of the success that the program had because, again, the middle school kids are a foundation. But whatever I needed, all I had to do was call him. And it was always yes. And he would always, right about Thanksgiving or Christmas, he would say, you need to come over. Let's not talk shop. I'm barbecuing for the teachers. You're invited. I says, okay, I'll be there 5 minutes from now.
Yeah, those were the things.
But yeah, he very, very active person. He was fantastic.
Yeah, if my memory serves me correct, I remember him as well talking about he had an MBA, like a master's in business administration. Now, I'll go into this story, and I don't know if you remember sharing it, but that's a big reason you sharing that story. You're like, if you get a master's in business administration, you are like the top tier of and that opens up so many more doors. And at the time I was like, nah, you don't know what he's talking about. I was like, I'm doing engineering. Those little nuggets that you may not even remember sharing, right, that really stick with the kids and that you helped nurture through the system,
Well, that's good to know. And you know this as well as I know. Sometimes we have impact on people. We don't even realize we're having an impact on them. It's years later that you find out, like what you just said. I had no clue, right? But it's years later when you find out, wow, I never knew I had that much impact on you. And this is why I always tell young educators coming into education or whatever field they're going into, understand you're going to make an impact on somebody, if not somebody's. I says, so you want to try and not just be good at what you do, but be a mentor to those people. Be a blessing to them. And that's the important thing. I says, because you know what? Let's say in band directing, you can win state title after state title. Now, that's great at the present. But in the future, when those trophies 50 years later, they're not even in trophy case any longer. The thing that stays with those students or the people you work with is, were you helpful to them? Were you a blessing to them? Those are the things they're going to remember.
Right.
And as you get older, those are the things that make you feel good. Like I can hear former students tell me, man, I can't believe we won all the state titles and da-da-da. And that's good. I says, yeah, that was a good time. But when I hear somebody tell me, sir, it was because of you that ended up going to school and doing the way I'm doing now. To me, that's the biggest trophy of them all right there.
Right.
So I always tell educators coming to the field, be a mentor. Be a mentor and a blessing. And I strictly believe in that philosophy because that's where it's at.
Right.
That's where it's at.
When you were in band in the 70s, the year you were in band, were they better than all the other bands in the subsequent years? Was y'all's class the best band that ever existed at South San?
When I was in band,
you were
as a
in band.
student, it was a different time, and the competition, unfortunately, the real world always bases a program how good they are on how they do competition wise, and I mean that's just the nature of the beast. But it's different times. Okay, when I was in band, nowadays marching shows. I don't even call them marching shows anymore. They're productions. I mean, they've got this what I call backdrops.
You got
They-
props.
Costuming. Now they get uniforms to match the concept and so on. Back then, you wore your school uniform, and the design of the show was compared to what it is now was fairly simple. And when you hear people say, "When I was in band, we did 10 different shows," now they only do one. Well, yeah, because the style that we did back then, like when I was in high school, was fairly easy. We did what we call step twos and circle drills, and you could learn a show in an hour, right? Now it's a production. It's like anything else. It's a production. It's kind of like building a building. You got to build a foundation, and then you build the first floor, then the second floor, and until you finally get to the 32nd floor, whatever building is going to be. So that's the way marching band is now. It's a production. It's a process. So when I hear somebody say, "Yeah, nowadays bands only do one show," but it has more depth and content than like when I was in high school. So for our time, yeah, we had a great band. Now, if we were to take that same greatness we had back then and put it on the field now, it wouldn't happen. It would not happen.
Too simple.
Yeah,
Too simple.
it's not. It doesn't have content. So
Okay. Yeah, I just asked because most football players I talk to, maybe football hasn't changed. I mean, football even has changed since I've been in school, but it's like, back when we played football, their stories, obviously theirs was the best. So I was curious if you had any of that type of. But
also remember, now that you said the football, also band, when you were in school and I was in school, there wasn't that many schools as you have now, high schools.
So many more schools.
I mean, you look at Northside, for example, Northside ISD. When I was in band, there was 5 high schools, John J. Holmes and so on. Now they have like 14 high schools. So you look at the football schedules. There's schools there that now instead of 6 teams in a district, there's 12 teams in a district. Okay, so again, times are different.
So y'all were only playing 6 games back then, or
no, we played 10 games.
But your district only had that many.
But the district only had like 5 or 6 in the district.
So you had more non-conference games.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, when I got to South San, we were 4A, and then West Campus closed, and then they opened up.
Right.
I think we were 5A for a while, going out towards that. What do you still keep in touch with any of your band directors? Are they still around? Or even when you graduated, did you get a mentorship?
As far as band directors that went to school with me?
No, band directors when you were going to school.
Oh, yes.
Who was it?
My band director was Ray Guzman. Okay. Heck of a band director. He's passed away since.
When did he pass?
It's been
a while.
about 5-6 years. But he was my band director. And then before I came to the high school, we had some top name band directors at South San, and not too many people know that. One I can name is Al Sturchill. He just recently passed, but Al Sturchill was a king in band directing in the state of Texas, and he was at South San for about 6 years. There was a Bobby Geisler before Sturchill came in. Bobby Geisler, same thing. And then later on, and when I was in high school, Alfred Esquivel, he was my band director, and he ended up being at Lee. He's another top name. So we've had some great band directors come through South San High School. And they're the ones that set the foundation. And then, of course, later on it just continues. But we've had some great ones go through that band hall. That my brothers, it was their band directors, right? My older brothers. But Ray Guzman was my band director. Again, fantastic. Matter of fact, Ray Guzman is the one that helped me get a scholarship. He drove me to Kingsville.
Get out of here. Your band director?
My band director drove me to Kingsville because they contacted him and he says, hey, you need to go try out for a scholarship at A&I.
What did you play?
I played baritone horn. And I told Mr. Guzman, I says, sir, I would love to, but I don't have a way to get up there, and my dad and mom are working on those weekends. I said, so the best I could do is if I can save enough money, I'll get on a Greyhound bus and go down there. He goes, I'll call your parents tonight. I'll get you down there. And sure enough, we got in his Volkswagen and went down to Kingsville.
It's 1972?
It was in I went for the, it was 72.
Wow.
Yeah, 72. Because it was a year before I graduated. And then, of course, going into my senior year, I already knew I had a scholarship going in.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if it wasn't for Mr. Guzman, we might not even be talking today.
Right, yeah. Well, jeez.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, some cool stuff.
Do you still play?
Every once in a while, I'll pick up my instrument,
Yeah, the original?
I have...
high school, your original instrument from high school? Or?
Well, I have a trombone.
Okay.
Because baritone horn is a school instrument, right?
Okay.
So it stays at the band hall. But I have a trombone.
I'm not going to tell you I don't have my mariachi traje in my... it doesn't fit, but...
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I pick it up every once in a while, and matter of fact, I used to gig a lot, with a trombone when I was going through Kingsville. And I have the story to tell you real quick on that one. But I remember when I got my scholarship, mom and dad, I was first generation, going to school. And I remember my mom sitting me down and says, now, mijo, I know you like playing with bands. He goes, but I don't want you playing with a band. I want you to concentrate on your grades. And if you need any money, you call me, let me know. I never would call her for money. If I had to go do lawns, that's what I would do. Matter of fact, I did lawns.
Really?
I did what I had to do in Kingsville. Wow. I did what I had to do to survive for tuition. But anyways, my freshman year, of course, lo and behold, I got asked to perform, to play with a group. And of course, I said yes, right? Of course, I didn't tell mom or dad, right? Because there was no way they're going to allow it.
Yeah.
But anyways, we used to play at this place called the Library.
It's a bar?
It was a bar. It was called the Library, right? And I used to stay at the dorm, and I walk in, my roommate would say, "Your mom called again," because mom, you think I was 10,000 miles away? She'd call every other day. How are you? That's fine. But anyways.
So was this a phone that was in
a landline?
Yeah, landline that was in the front office, or each room? Each dorm had a phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was no cell phones back then. It was all landline. But I recall getting a call from mom. Says, "Hey, I called you yesterday, but your roommate said it was Mario. Mario said you weren't in. Well, where were you?" I says, "I was at the library." Oh, okay, mijo. That's how I got around it.
Did she ever catch on?
When I got my degree, I says, "Mom, Dad, I'm going to drive you to our library." She goes, "Well, we just passed by." I says, "No, this is a different one." So I drove up, and sure enough, the sign says, "The Library. Best bar in Kingsville."
Oh, man.
That's his mom. She goes, "Ay, carancho." I says, "Mom, it got me through. It got me through." But anyways. Yeah, so, I still pick up the trombone. John Hernandez, we usually had our class reunion. He's always asking me to come play with a group. And if I had the time, I probably would. But I just, balancing my time with what I do and then my family and so on.
He was 2 years younger than you, right? Or a couple years after you.
Yeah, no, I think, he graduated in 75, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. So your experience there, you say cutting lawns, and did you buy a lawnmower, or you'd knock and say, "Hey, if you got a lawnmower."
Are you kidding? I couldn't afford to buy the gas to put in the lawn.
How did you get into that?
Well, what I would do is go knock on the door. I would walk, right? And if I see a yard that needed cutting, I'd go in there and knock on the door. Says, "Hey, I'm here looking for a little job, and if you have a lawnmower and I can cut your grass, and I'll be glad to do it front, back, edging, whatever you have for about $4, $5, whatever you can afford. And that's what I would do. So they had a lawnmower, and of course I did the front, the back, the weed eating. They didn't have a blower, so I would sweep. They got a heck of a deal for $5. And $5 back then was
a lot more than now.
Yeah. I mean, but that's what I would do. So my goal was to get up on Saturday mornings and do at least 3 or 4 yards. And most of the time I ended up doing 3 or 4 yards. And then I would do the same thing on Sundays. On Sundays I would volunteer my time at the Center Gratuitous Church and did yard work for them. I didn't charge them a thing, though. I remember, I forget, I think it was Father Guide, or I don't recall his name, but he was offering me money. I says, no, this is my way of giving back. So, yeah, I could have started my own landscaping business.
Yeah, very entrepreneurial of you. What made you go back for your MBA?
Well, I knew at that time, I talked with other directors. I had been directing a while, and I asked them, hey, look, what are the advantages or disadvantage of getting a master's in music as compared to a master's in administration? And they were upfront, says, unless you want to be a professor at a university, you don't really need a master's in music. But you open more doors when you go with a master's in administration, because now you can work as a administrator, as a principal, vice principal, music supervisor, and so on. So that's the reason why I took that direction. And lo and behold, it worked out well, because when I was at South San, I also did music coordinator for the district. And then, of course, I worked as an administrator at Royal Gate Elementary. So it paid off. It paid off. And it opens a whole lot of doors. I get calls from universities throughout the state saying, hey, we're having a camp on this day. We'd like you to come manage the camp, organize it, and run it. As far as the staff you're going to hire and so on. That all comes from that business and administration degree. So what made me do it was the advice of other directors and just making sure that I was going to go in the right direction. And lo and behold, talk about a blessing, I'm currently working as an adjunct professor at Texas A&I Kingsville, working with the senior music majors.
Wow.
And the reason they were able to get me in, even though I have a doctor's degree in it, was because of my experience in administration.
Right.
So it worked out well. It worked out real well. So that's been a blessing. That's been a blessing.
What year did you get your MBA? How far into your career?
It was in 1988. I got my bachelor's in 77, and we got back
10 years out.
Yeah, 10 years out. 10 years out.
Yeah, I remember. I mentioned I'd bring it up now, so I'll bring it up. I remember we had stopped in some restaurant or I don't know, maybe it was a Sonic or Dairy Queen or something after a mariachi gig, and you were telling you and your jokes. Yeah, that's another signature Alex Sanchez move. The type of jokes you have are just the most cheesy dad, corniest.
They're so
jokes.
They're so corny. They're funny.
and man, I want to hear more from you. So I'm gonna try my best not to talk as much. But just how committed you are to how corny these jokes are. That's a next level of acting. And anybody who's a student would know that you go into your jokes. And you've taken that even into performing, I think, at the band. And we'll save that for a little later. But I remember you going into this joke, right? And the card, and I'm buying whatever we're getting to eat, and you start bringing up making money, right? And for me, I was always engineering, because that's what I need to be the most successful and be able to make money in 4 years.
Right.
But then you talk. I think you kind of like, yeah, engineering's good, but then you jumped into business and administration. I was like, nah, business isn't. That's not where it's at. Engineering's where it's at. And you're like, you'll be surprised in how many doors it'll open instead of getting this and that, and to be principal, or to be open a business, or to just the the breadth that you could be able to apply yourself into.
Right.
And so I think it was probably that day I started collecting my little box in my head, my little jar of people who've gotten MBAs and, and the positions in leadership that they were able to accomplish. And it was that made me make the connection of this bachelor's degree in engineering and then that MBA and my master's degree. Instead of doing like a bachelor's in business administration and engineering, I mean, it'd be harder to go that route. It was just a natural fit to go that way. And so I'll always, I attribute that to your corny your corny jokes that you're giving to all the students, and sneak in a little nugget. And your punchline wasn't the most valuable thing, I'll tell you that. But the little nugget of information that you shared that you learned, right? Because you were like, am I going to go get my master's in music,
right,
or am I going to get this MBA?
Exactly. Yeah, I learned as I went further into my career, band directing. I've learned because when you first start out, you're in a competitive world of band or coaching and so on, and it's just so intense. It's just preparing,
very intense
and so on. But as I got into my career and got a little older, I says, you know what? I'm not enjoying what I'm doing with the kids. I need to take time to enjoy and just soak it in with the kids that are working so hard and so on. I need to add a little humor to my career, and once I started doing that, it was like, because I remember Ray Guzman telling me, Alex, what you're doing is fantastic, but you're going to burn yourself out because you've got to enjoy what you're doing too. Because if you don't, if it's all about the competition, you're going to burn yourself out, because you might win today, you might win tomorrow, you might win for about 5, 6 years, 10 years, but sooner or later, that winning streak comes to an end. But the friendships and the relationships you establish with other directors, parents, and students, that's forever. That will never stop. That's something that can never take away from you. So once I did that, and I would always, and when the rehearsal would get real tense, says, okay, time out, guys. It's getting real tense. Did I tell you all about? And I would,
Here we go.
And I would say a joke, and everybody be laughing, and it just kind of brought the stress level down.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where I learned that from. And I take this after my mom and dad. Dad used to love to make people laugh, right? And I think that's where I get it from. I like to see people smile, and I like to see them laugh and smile and enjoying life. So yeah. I had some real corny jokes. Matter of fact, I still have some.
I'm gonna ask. You say those to the end because we got time for that too. I'll share this last one, or maybe it's more of what another thing I've learned from you. You talked about these competitions and these performances being so tense and so highly stressful, right? And you can imagine going doing that for 40 years. You're in your mind, you're gathering little warriors, right, to go and perform and do their battle in the arena, right? And band, bands, there's a lot of people in a band, and sort of organized to prepare everybody's costumes, all the structure and logistics behind it. I can imagine how stressful it would be. And that's just getting them there. Then it's when they're there, are they going to perform? Exactly. And so having them ready to perform, ready or not, this is it's probably one of my best values and traits. Whether you're ready or not, you go out there and you give it everything you got.
Exactly.
And you have always been in the trenches with the band, performing on their best nights and performing on their worst nights.
Yep.
And I personally have been in the trenches with you. Me and Victoria went to a mariachi gig, and you went to a mariachi gig for a wedding, and it was just us three.
Yep.
Nobody showed up.
I recall that.
And I was playing guitar and she was playing violin and singing, and we're playing for a wedding. And you did the best. We all did the best that we could. You started dancing to just dum 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 dum, and spinning in circles. She's trying to sing and play violin. You're trying to sing and just making the best out of the situation, right? Step one was getting us there. We didn't get everybody there, even when the Army never showed up, right?
Exactly.
And then us doing our best to perform, you jumped in there and started performing too. And that situation, so stressful, so highly intense. And I couldn't even tell you what the bride and groom looked like today. I don't know if they remember us from the way. They probably want nothing to do with us. But you being in there, I mean, you could have been hidden in the back, but you were dancing. You were in the arena with us, and I think you've done that for South San, even as the band has been at its biggest and as the band has been at its lowest. And I think that's one of the best traits I'll ever admire from you, and I think that is true Bobcat pride.
Yeah, it really is. And I learned that from some of my colleagues. And like you nailed it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're there when it's your best, and sometimes when it's your worst. Okay, but when it's at your worst, at times you have to improvise. How are you going to make this happen, even though it should not be happening? How are you going to make it happen?
Right.
And then of course you jump in. At that time I says, well, I'll pass the time a little bit by dancing and, play a number. And, hey, I want to dance with the groom. And then I want to dance with this. I want to dance with the aunt now. And the audience doesn't realize that you're killing time because you want those 30 minutes to go by fast, right? And before you know it, you've got 10 minutes left.
Right.
Right. And they think it was the best thing ever because they had a good time. And you're right. I remember getting on the bus going, oh, my gosh, that was so stressful. telling two people that was so stressful.
That's something that's going to stick with me to this day, and I don't even know if I've ever talked to Veronica about it, but I'm sure she probably remembers too. And I don't know,
it's a good times.
Good times. It
builds character.
It
builds a lot of character. The key word is adjustment. I always tell my students, there's come times when you have to make some adjustments.
Right.
So you got to be good at making adjustments. You have to know when you need to make an adjustment, and then you make it, and then you do the best of it, and push forward with it. And then afterwards, then you can go behind the tree and go, oh my gosh, it was so stressful, or wherever you want to.
Yeah. So what made you want to start the mariachis up, and what's the story behind that?
Well, the mariachis, I'll never forget the gentleman. I forget it was Dr. Montalvo, I believe. He was the principal. And he says, Alex, why don't we have mariachis? I says, we just don't have a mariachi class. And I remember says, can you start one? And I says, well, yeah, but we don't have instruments and we don't have anything. And I don't know anything about mariachis other than I can do gritos and that's about it. But he says, well, maybe you can start one after school. And that's what I did. We announced it to the school and the district and the newspaper that we're going to start a community mariachi, the South San Community Mariachi Group. And we started out with maybe 5 or 6 people. And then by the second, third year, we had like 10, 15. And then eventually we had 20, 25 people in this mariachi. But it was all ages. It wasn't just high school. It was, I remember having people in the group that were at my age that I am right now. Fantastic. Which was great because they could help me teach the younger ones.
Is that how you met Pete?
That's how I met Pete. And I remember Pete coming in and helping us out.
Yeah, he was good. I mean, realizing the musicians, like that was my first, I guess, exposure to a true musician who can play multiple instruments, who can sing, and who can.
He helped us a lot. And then once we had it as a class, he would come in as a contractor services consultant and help us and get the program started. Now, fast forward, now we have fantastic mariachi program at the high school. We have a varsity.
Just saw him a couple days ago.
We have a varsity. We have a junior varsity.
In mariachis?
In mariachis. And really? We now also have mariachis at the middle school.
Wow.
So now we have over 200 kids that participate in a mariachi class.
So they can start in middle school now?
Yeah, they start in middle school.
Oh, wow.
Every middle school has a mariachi. And then, of course, the reason why they get fantastic is they have a good foundation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it used to be we didn't start mariachis till they were a freshman.
Mm-hmm. I did my junior year. I think they had the
Yeah.
class. Yeah.
But by the time they're in high school, they're going to be good at what they do.
Right.
But you're only going to get so much out of them because you run out of time. They graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's true.
So now what's happening is if we start them in sixth grade, seventh grade, by the time they get to high school, they're prime and ready.
Right.
And people says, man, how did the mariachis get to be so good? It's like I told the administration, because you have a good foundation. You have a good foundation. Why do we have JV football? Why do we have freshman football? Why do we have football in 8th grade and 7th grade?
Right.
You build
Makes
a foundation.
sense.
You build a foundation. So now, I mean, they've gone to state the last 5-6 years and done well. They've done real, and they continue to grow and continue to get better. And one of my former students, you might know him, Nick Serenil, he is now the middle school mariachi instructor. He works with all the middle schools.
Wow.
And he's feeding the high school. And the high school mariachis, Gabriel, he's loving it.
Yeah.
Because they're coming in well prepared. And he just takes it to the next level. So.
Yeah, I remember we went to state my senior year, I think. Or we won or whatever it was. I remember you going like this to me. Stay on beat with that. Get that. I would have been probably JV or freshman as that senior, but you were like.
It's called survival. Survival.
Yeah, especially when we get to those the harder guitarron ones. Dun, 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 dun.
Run, what we call the run and melodic lines.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
But I enjoyed mariachis, and I did it my junior year. I actually didn't play football to focus on school, and then I took as many AP classes as we could. So I also picked up mariachis. I was like, the timing of it was perfect to learn and go in that.
Well, you were a quick learner, because in the small amount of time that we had you, I mean, you were a heck of a guitarron player. And I kept thinking, imagine if he would have started in 6th grade. Of course, we didn't have a class at the time. I said, he would have been an all-stater. So for the time that you had and the experience that you had, you did a heck of a job. So my hat's off to you. You did great.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think it was it's. I feel like I remember it still being new, and it was something special about being in that era and that time, getting fitted for trajes, right? Going to gigs, and then even after we graduate, you would invite us back and then playing with like just
on
as
concerts
an
and
alumni
so
or something, right? And Angel singing, right? Rudy playing guitarron. Angela, right?
Yes.
Everybody, and then Alyssa. And it seemed like I remember when Alyssa first came in, we were all practicing, and you like kind of pushed her to sing, and beautiful voice. And Alyssa's, she's amazing, an amazing musician.
Yeah. Well, y'all were talented individuals. You know, y'all were talented individuals. It's just that talent needed to be brought out, and you guys finally let go. And it's like anything else. Once you build that confidence, you know you're good. You know, so you guys, you were great. The names you just mentioned, Angela, Elisa, yourself, Rudy, some great talent right there. Angel,
yeah,
some good talent.
I remember you shared a story, and I believe her name is Lisa or something, that you'd recorded with her or did some.
Lisa Lopez. Lisa Lopez.
How did y'all meet?
She was one of my students at the high school.
Really?
And that's another story in itself. Lisa is a recording artist and still records, but in the late 70s, early 80s is when she really hit it big. And she was only a sophomore at South San. And the way that happened, and I, again, being blessed because I was green as can be. I had only been band directing about 3 or 4 years. I mean, I was just starting to learn about band directing, really. And then all of a sudden, this comes on my lap. I was in the band hall one day, just playing the keyboard. And I used to write a lot, and I still do. And I remember Lisa's dad walking in to pick her up from band rehearsal. And all of a sudden, I was playing the keyboard, and I noticed somebody's over my shoulder, right? And I look up, and I didn't know Mr. Lopez at that time. And he goes, "Hey, how you doing? I've been listening. You play the piano. That's some good stuff." I said, "Well, thank you, sir." He goes, "I'm Lisa's dad." I says, "Lisa Lopez?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm Lisa's dad." I said, "Well, nice." I stopped, shook his hand. I says, "Well, nice to meet you." I says, "Lisa is fantastic. She does a great job. She was a flute player, and she did." And I remember Lisa at one time coming and said, "I might not be able to make a couple of games because I gig with my dad." And I told him, that's fine. As long as you let me know ahead of time, not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So he was thanking me for working with Lisa.
On the schedule.
And then I'll never forget, he says, "What was that you're playing?" I said, "Oh, it's just a song that I wrote." And he goes, "You do recording?" I says, "No, I don't do recording, but I like to write." He goes, "How would you like to come to the recording studio and see what it's all about?" I says, "I would love to." And sure enough, went to the recording studio, and it was here in town. And I remember Ruben telling me, that was Lisa's dad's name, Ruben, "Hey, play that chart you were playing the other day so we can record it." I says, "Okay." And I started playing it, started recording it. And he asked, he goes, "Do you have a title for that?" I says, "Yeah, I have the lyrics and everything." It was a number called Looking Back. Okay. And I remember him telling me, called me like a month later, says, "Hey, Alex, can you come in so we can talk about recording and so on?" I said, "Sure, I'd love to." So I went in. He goes, "Look, we're almost through with an album with Lisa, but we need a filler." And of course, I didn't know anything about it. I says, "What's a filler?" He goes, "It's where we take one number and fill in the album with that one." He goes, "So we call it a filler. So, but you'll be in the album." And he said, he was very honest. He says, "We don't push that number. We push the other ones. That one, again, is just a filler. But if you want to be on the album, we would love to use that one." And I says, being 25, 26, I said, "Yeah, I'm going to be on an album," right?
Yeah.
As the writer. Anyways, lo and behold, push forward, the number that hit of all that album was that one, was the filler. It was strictly by accident, because they weren't pushing it all. What happened is the DJs at that time would take the albums, the vinyls at that time. There was no such thing as DVDs.
Yeah.
It was the vinyl. And they started playing it, and the other radio stations started picking it up. And I remember getting a phone call at the band that says, "Alex, there's a song they're playing on the radio, say it's you and Lisa." And I'm going, "What song?" Goes, "I don't know. It's on right now. KTSA, remember KTSA? I'll put it on," and they're playing the number. Well, that number is the one that hit of all numbers. And that number blessed us, because with that number hitting, and it was in the charts, not just here, it was in the KC top 40, right? That's what really kicked off her career. And later on, she just recorded more and more. And I would write some songs for her.
She was a sophomore in high school.
She was a sophomore in high school.
She was so young.
Yeah, she was young. And that's that song, which was by accident, is what kicked it off. It's just amazing.
Yeah, you never know.
You just never know. So we were blessed with that, and she had a fantastic career, and she still records and so on. Not as much as she used to, but she's still out there recording. She sings at one of the churches here in town, and she loves what she does. So yeah, that's another story.
That's awesome. So you said Looking Back?
If you look it up on YouTube, it's called Looking, like I'm going to be looking for you. Looking Back.
Looking Back.
Not Looking Back.
I was going to let's go to Look Back. I was like, yeah, that voice sounds familiar, Mr. Sanchez.
Yeah, that was back in 1979. Oh my gosh, that's a long time
79 when that song came out.
When it came out. Yeah. I'll have to drop off an album cover for you. I still kept.
Yeah, I love it. If you got any pictures, share it out
Yeah.
here. Wow, that's awesome. I remember you told that story, and it's again, it was probably after that you told a little corny joke, and then you wanted to motivate us a little bit, so you threw a little story about, and I forget her last name, but I remember Lisa being her first name. Yeah,
she's a South San graduate. South San graduate. She was fantastic, and like I said, we've had some great people go through South San. You
Great
being one of them.
musicians.
Great musicians, great football players, great baseball players. I mean, I look back at the Coach Gus years. I remember he was my baby. People don't believe me. He was my babysitter, because when Coach Gus, because the baseball field used to be right there where Athens was at. Remember, Athens and Dwight was right behind him. So mom and dad always, they worked till 5:30. So when I'd get out of class at Dwight, they'd tell me, go watch the baseball team practice, because Casey Sanchez was in the team. And
That's your brother.
That's my cousin. Yeah.
There's so many Sanchez's too.
Oh, I'm telling
you guys.
It's forever. But I used to go watch them practice. And that's why I call them my babysitters, because one day I'm sitting there and Coach Gus came up to me and says, hey, I see you here every day. He goes, you must really like baseball. I says, yes, sir. And he goes, if you need water or whatever, we've got water, you want a snack? And I said, well, thank you, sir. He goes, so you go to school at Dwight? I says, yeah. I says, Casey Sanchez is my cousin. Oh, I didn't know that. I says, yeah. He goes, well, you're more than welcome to be here at all times. I says, well, Dad and Mom usually pick me up at 5:30. They would always practice till 6:30 or 7. So by the time they picked me up, they were still practicing. But I remember Coach Gus coming up to me one time and says, how would you like to be our bat boy? I says, I would love to, because I'll be at practice watching them, and they hit a foul ball, and I go run and bring it back and give them. And that's when he asked me, would I like to be the bat boy for the team? And I says, yes, sir, but I need to ask Mom and Dad first. And Mom and Dad said, that's fine, and you better behave. That was always a lie. And you better behave. You better do what it says. Now, having said all that, I remember riding the bus to Austin for the state tournament. And those years that I was there with them as a bad boy, those 3 years, they went like, I think it was like 39-0 before they lost the game. Yeah. So I got to see them play in Austin, for the state tournament twice.
Wow.
Yeah, I got to know all the players. John Langerhans, Alex Yanes, Mike Marco, Raul Zamora, which is related
he goes to our church. Yeah,
Raul
I know him
Zamora.
well.
I mean, Casey. I mean, all those big time players. I got to know them, and I would clean the bats for them and their shoes, the whole bit. But yeah, Coach Gus.
That's awesome.
But years later, I went to go see him at UT because he became the UT coach. And I'm sitting on the third base line, and I hadn't seen him in years. It'd been about 15 years since I seen him. And I'm sitting there watching the game, and he's walking, and he just happens to look up, and he stops, and he points at me. And he does this. He shakes his finger and goes, and he on a loud voice says, you're my bad boy. I don't recall your name, but you're my bad boy, aren't you? He goes, you're one of the Sanchez's. I says, yes, sir. And he literally came up and shook my hand.
Wow.
And he was like, wow, I didn't know you know Coach Gus is this. And of course, I'm all bragging, know him. I used to be his bad boy. But anyways, yeah, lots of great stories at South San. I mean, some good, productive stories that you hear.
Yeah, beautiful stories.
Yeah.
I mean, just the field itself, right? And then the football field right there behind the baseball field, that was the original football field.
Yep.
And that's where so many graduations happened. And
I remember.
Did you go to school at Fleming because it was from that 5th grade year or something? Right?
I didn't go to school at Fleming.
Before Dwight.
It was where was I at? I think it was. I'm trying to think. It wasn't Price, but it was in Fleming. It was either Price or Hutchins. I think it was Hutchins. And not too many people. I'll tell you another one. Now I'm gonna date myself. My 1st grade and 2nd grade year, I ended up going to Royal Gate Elementary. Remember Royal Gate in the 70s? That's the height of the Vietnam era. And we had all this, that whole neighborhood just blossomed out because we had all these soldiers and generals and so on that lived in that area because of Lackland and so on. Well, at that time, that's when they passed the desegregation laws, and you had to meet so many guidelines. You had to have so many Hispanics, so many whites, and so on. Well, Royal Gate, that area, basically demographics were 97% white. So they had to have, by law, Hispanics on that campus. So we used to get on a bus at Price Elementary.
From Price to
From
go
Price, and they would bus us to Royal Gate.
Wow.
Well, they
That's
bused us.
wild.
I got bused to Royal Gate for 2 years to meet the federal guidelines, and that's how we got to know that area. Okay, and now remember, there was no Shepherd.
Middle school, yeah. No West Campus, no West Shepherd, yeah.
Right.
It was just
So,
Royal Gate out there. It was
Royal-
Armstrong and...
I don't know. I don't even recall it. Armstrong was there.
Okay.
But I know the only middle school we had was Dwight.
Mhm.
So once they had to go to middle school, well, guess where they came to? They had to come to Dwight. Okay. So, and that's how we got a mixture of Hispanics, whites, and so on at South San, because they were coming from that area into Dwight and so on. And then, of course, later on, they built Shepherd and West Campus. So that area ended up staying in that area. So, yeah, I was bused to Royal Gate to meet federal guidelines.
Wow. That's interesting. What's your recollection of how we first met?
I think my recollection is when you and I first met is in the band hall. I don't know, it was after school or during school. I don't recall that, but I remember you come asking, what did you have to do to join the mariachis? And you look serious, so I better not throw a joke at him at this point, because I was going to ask you, all you have to do is spell H-E-B and you're in, right? But anyways, I says,
I got 2 out of 3, close enough.
Anyways, yeah, you came in and asked if you could be in mariachis, and of course I said yeah, and that's how I remember meeting you, and the rest of the time where you were in mariachis, and then I believe you also played football, didn't you?
I played football.
Yeah, I remember being on the stands and telling everybody, I hope they don't hurt that guy because I need him in my guitarron. But that's my recollection, and I remember saying. And I remember when I first heard you play guitarron, you were good, right? I said, man, with a little bit more experience, he's going to be fantastic. And yeah, you ended up being fantastic. You were my guitarron player.
Yeah.
So funny how things work out, right?
Thank you. I'll tell you my first recollection, and I knew you wouldn't remember this. I went to Royal Gate when you were the principal at Royal Gate.
Oh my gosh.
So this was almost 30 years ago. And I got into a food fight. And I don't know if I started or what, but I remember throwing an orange in the cafeteria. And they had me and a bunch of other kids. And you called my mom. And then, of course, you taught my mom, too. And you remember. And I think y'all were pulling one over me. All right, we're going to paddle him. And y'all probably worse. I thought y'all were serious. But I remember Mr. Sanchez almost paddling me at Royal Gate Elementary. And that's my first recollection of how we met, with the paddle at Royal Gate. And so this was like, I don't know, 1995 or 96.
The 90s. Yeah, I always call the paddle the Board of Education, right? I call that the Board of Education. And at that time, paddling was allowed.
Right.
And that was always last resort for me, right? It was more of a scare tactic than anything.
Right.
Because even when I used it, I'm sure when they walked out going, well, that has no energy. I mean, it's just a little pad. So I would always call a witness in and one of the teachers, and it's like, boom, and the kid would take off and don't come back again. And then, of course, the teacher says, well, that was just a little tap. You didn't really. I says, I know. I don't like using the paddle. It's more of a scare tactic.
Yeah.
Because I always imagine my kids being paddled. I would hope that whoever's doing the paddling would do it with care.
Well, I sure was scared. I remember. I was like, man, I almost got paddled. And I remember you showing us the paddle. And I was like, that's it.
Yeah, it was more of a scare tactic. And it worked. Because lots of times, 90% of the time, the kids would never come back. Because they knew they get paddled.
And then, yeah, after you, it's like you gave Mr. Fonseca a phone call when I went over to Kindred, because I had one of those too. And he made me call my parents' house number. Oh man, yeah, but no, isn't that something else wild? Like too, like the number of kids you've taught over the years, there's no way you can remember them all. Like, and I was telling this to, I think I was talking to Ms. Altakali about this, that, building a purpose, our nonprofit, we've been around for 10 years, and there's so many students that go through, and I don't have nearly the depth that you do, and I do my best to remember every single one of them, and by name and everything, and just that feeling of, it's like, I know who you are, right? And the same way, but look how it made your day, like when Cliff Gufferson, Bob Boy, and how it means something. I mean, it's so powerful. It's
like we said earlier, we have an impact on students who people work with that we don't even know. Okay, and yeah, you're right. It's tough. I'm blessed that I've been able to have 40 years experience at South San and continue to have experience as a consultant. But yeah, there'll be times when somebody will come up to me and goes, Mr. Sanchez, how you doing? I haven't seen you since I graduated. It's like, I am so sorry. I don't recall. And a lot of times they'll say, I wasn't in band, but I used to come watch the band and especially watch your color guard at the games. And then they'll introduce us this. And I says, well, I don't recall you, but thank you so much for remembering me. And, it's been more than one instance that happened, but you're right. It's hard to, unless, I always tell everybody, there's two kinds of students you always remember. The ones that were just fantastic, or the ones that just were heck.
The ones that almost got paddled. And I was both. No, I'm speaking mostly the paddle one.
But the average one, right? The average one that does what they need to do in a whole bit, those are the tough ones to remember. Not that you don't, you recognize their faces, but you don't recall the names and so on, or what instrument they played at times. But it's those in-betweens that did their job, right? That you have a tendency not to remember. But you're right, there's just so many. It's tough. It's tough. If you were to take all the band students and line them up on a football field, and they say, Mr. Sanchez, for every name that you can recall, okay, we're going to give you $100, right? For every name that you recall and what instrument they play. I'll end up probably with $1,000 because there's just so many.
Yeah.
There's so many.
Well, you got to be smart about it. There's got to be 30 Jesuses in there, 40 Joses, or like, you got to, and then the girls,
It's funny. And, but yeah, I mean, and you'll get to, not that you're not at that point, but eventually.
Well, you have 40 years of teaching, and you've been doing the judging and still active in there.
Yeah.
So how many years since you've been retired now?
Well, let's see, 40 years at South San, and then I've been doing this my consulting for about 8 years, going on 9 years.
Yeah, 48 years.
Yeah. So I promised myself I'll retire after 60 years of experience. But yeah, it's a blessing. It really is a blessing. I mean, it's a blessing. I'm healthy, and I still love doing it, and I still get to talk to people and so on. So,
you mentioned the types of students that you remember. Who's the best, like, teacher's pet, whatever you want to call it, student that you still remember to this day and never forget? And then who's the one who did get paddled at Royal Gate?
I don't know. There's just this thing as having the best student, because the students that I had, each one of them had their own special talents. Some personality-wise, some talent-wise playing, just respectful. And I've had a lot of the kids like that. Matter of fact, I was going to say 94 to 95% of the kids were always like that, respectful and yes sir, no sir. And I could say, okay, I need you to jump here, and they would say, how high you want me to jump, sir? Okay. So as far as one particular favorite one, I sincerely mean it. I don't think I have just one particular favorite one, because they were all so good, and they always just respectful and did what they had to do. The worst one, I recall anybody being
That bad.
that bad. I recall them doing some bad things, but it was a good kid making a bad mistake. For example, at band practice, when a kid comes to me, sir, I'm really mad. What's wrong? Jeremy just threw my bike over the stands. Who? Jeremy? And Jeremy was the best kid you ever want to meet. Well, he decided he wants to get a bike and throw it over the stands at the stadium. And you go look at that bike and it's just destroyed, right? Well, Jeremy ended up paying for that bike in more ways than one. Okay? So that's an example of good kid doing a bad thing. But as far as me ever having a student that I just wanted to... No, I really don't recall.
I can't recall.
I can't recall. So I guess I have no worst student and no best one. I guess they're all fantastic in their own way.
Who are some students you still keep in touch with to this day?
You, Gina, Philip Vargas, Pearl Vargas, Liz Casillas, Carmen Martinez. There's quite a few. There's quite a few, and they basically text me, "How you doing, sir?" It's funny, after all these years, it's still sir, Mr. Sanchez.
Mr. Sanchez.
Yeah, well, we were at that all-class reunion the other night, and I had people come up to me and says, "Hi, Mr. Sanchez, how you doing?" And they weren't in band, right? Somewhere. And I forget her name. She comes in, "Hi, Mr. Sanchez, how you doing?" I says, "I'm sorry, I don't recall." He goes, "I wasn't in band, but I used to come watch y'all performing the whole bit." And I says, after all these years, you still call me Mr. Sanchez. I says, "You can call me Alex." He goes, "Okay, Mr. Alex."
Mr. Alex.
But yeah, I keep in touch with a lot of those students still. I'd say there's anything from maybe 100 to 200 people that that were my students in band that I keep in touch with. Yeah. They'll call me and says, "Hey, my granddaughter's going to be in band. What do you suggest? Where can I get an instrument?" That kind of stuff. Or we're having a get-together at homecoming. Will you be at the homecoming? I mean, that kind of stuff, which is cool.
Right.
So, yeah.
How did you and your wife meet?
We met at South San High School.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Really? She went to South San?
Yeah.
I remember we went and played mariachis for her at her middle school she was a principal at, or it was in Southwest District, I think.
It was at East Central.
East Central, okay.
East Central. Yeah. She was a speech therapist with East Central.
Okay.
And we went and performed for the kids there. Yeah, but we met at South San because
What year?
Oh my gosh. It had to be in the 90s. I was the vice principal at Palo Alto, and she became a teacher at Palo Alto, and that's where we met. That's where we met. But yeah, it's funny how things turn out, right?
Yeah. That's right. And you have 2 kids.
I have two kids. Yes, Gary and Stacy. Yeah.
And what do they do now? Did they go to South San?
No, my son went to TAF. And my daughter went to Lee. Gary now lives in Austin, and he's an investor in the bar business and so on. He's doing very well as an investor. And then my daughter is a nutritionist, a regional director, and so on.
Okay.
Thank the Lord, they're both doing real well.
Yeah.
And I've got grandkids. My son has not given me a grandkid yet. We have granddoggies from him. My daughter, Karen. It's from my daughter. So thank God they're doing real well.
And are they musicians? Do they play?
No,
or they didn't pick up the musical?
I'll never forget that both they came and told me. They were in band in middle school. But I'll never forget they both came and told me. Of course, separate years. Dad, I think I want to go the sports route. And I says, you do what you want to do and enjoy. I'll back you up. As long as you're doing something positive and doing well, I'll back you up. The minute that stops, you're going to be wearing a size 8.5. So yeah, very, very blessed that they're doing well too.
Is your wife still working at East Central, or she's retired?
No,
too?
she's retired. She's been retired about 4 years.
Okay.
She does do contracting services with some districts. But she's getting to the point where she says, I just rather stay home. And I don't blame you. Matter of fact, this morning she goes, man, it's a beautiful day. I'm going to just have some coffee and sit out here and enjoy the day. I says, Okay, good. I got to go see Jesse. Okay.
You travel so much. Do you think you leaving to college, was that your first time you had ever left, or
Yeah,
do you think that had a big part of you wanting to go out and see the world? And
well, no, I lived a sheltered life. Mom and dad, true story. I had really never gone anywhere other than with a band when I was in high school band, on the band trips and so on. Other than that, when we go visit my aunts in Seguin and so on. But when I got the scholarship to go to Texas A&I in Kingsville, that was the furthest that I've ever gone out on my own. And like I said earlier, you would think that I was 10,000 miles away because Mom called me the other night, right? But I recall the scariest feeling that I ever had was getting my old beat up Mustang going through my first semester at A&I. It was scary to me because I had never really been on my own before like that. Plus, I didn't want to let my parents down. And I was an average student in high school. Okay, I wasn't the brightest in high school.
You weren't valedictorian.
No, not even close. Not even close. So that stress and just being a little bit scared about not wanting. I didn't want to fail, and it wasn't so much about me failing. It was I didn't want to let Mom and Dad down.
Right.
I didn't want to let my parents down. So that was the scariest feeling. I'll go to register in the whole bit. I remember signing. I'd be shaking in the whole bit. I remember the lady asking me, "Are you okay?" I says, "Yeah, I'm just a little nervous." "Oh, you'll be fine. You'll be fine, right?" "Okay, thank you." And that night going in the room, laying in bed, I couldn't, because the next day was going to be first day of class. I didn't get any sleep. I was just so nervous about the class. And that whole first semester was an adjustment. It really was.
Right.
It was a big adjustment. But like anything else, once you get used to the environment and you build that confidence. So I can do this, and it took me building confidence. I guess that's the word, that I didn't have confidence that I ever get a degree. In the back of my mind, I could
kind of
tell,
imposter syndrome.
Yeah, it's in the back of my mind says I might make it, I might not make it. Instead of I'll be all right. Eventually, I got to that point, but at the beginning, I wasn't even close to that point yet. But again, I was blessed, and I was able to get my degree. So it went okay. It went all right. And I see some of these kids, like some of our kids at South San, it's not that they don't have the intelligence or not. It's just that confidence, somehow they've got to go in with confidence, or else they will not make it.
Right.
Not only going with confidence, but now I'm glad they have a support system at the universities and so on.
So who taught you that, the confidence? Was it the nature of the environment you were in? You kind of forced yourself, or?
Yeah, I would say it was the nature of the environment. It just,
you figured out, oh, that's what's working.
Yeah.
I got to keep.
Yeah. That cliche line, sink or swim, or swim and sink. Yeah. I said, man, I don't want to sink, so I'll swim.
Right.
Every once in a while, just my chin was up, but yeah, that's where they came from. But once you gain that confidence, and I always tell the kids here, because some of the kids says, "Sir, do you think I'll be able to get a music degree? You think I have the ability?" Says, "You have the ability, and you're going to do fantastic. But make sure you go into it with a lot of confidence, or get a support system that you can go to, as far as tutoring and so on." And there's nothing wrong with asking for help. Get the help. What's wrong is if you need the help and it's there and you don't ask for the help. I said that's when it's wrong. But I always tell the kids at South San, just you can do it. You can do it. Once you'll see. I always tell them, you'll see. Just give it your best, gain that confidence, and you're gonna do fine. And sure enough, they'll call me 4 years later. "Sir, you're not gonna believe this." And this, "What's going on?" Goes, I graduated in May. I says, "You're right. I don't believe it." but I just tease him with him, So.
Yeah. Oh, you gotta keep that Mr. Sanchez corny jokes in there. And what's the best advice anybody's ever given you?
The best advice was Ray Guzman, the band director, telling me, "You've got to take time to enjoy your students, enjoy what you do, enjoy the community, enjoy your colleagues. You've got to take time to do that, because I'm convinced that if I would have learned that, I probably would have not lasted more than 10 years band directing, because I would have burned myself out because of we have to win. We have to win. Success is not always measured on that first place. Success can be, I always tell directors, some of my students that graduate, and they'll call me a year later, sir, I didn't do very well this year. What do you mean you didn't do very well? Well, the band got a 3. I says, okay, let's backtrack a little bit. What were you working with when you stepped in? What instruments did you have? What did you have to work with? Okay, they tell me, says, okay, so did they sound 2 times better, 3 times better in March than you first heard them? Oh, so that sounded 10 times better. Okay, you were a success. So I tell them, you can't always measure success by a trophy. You got to measure the success from where you started and where you ended up.
Right.
That's how you measure success. I said, so that's why I say the best advice I ever got was from Ray Guzman, because I learned how to enjoy what I was doing. I enjoyed watching the band perform at halftime. I enjoyed being in the parades. I enjoyed it. I took time to get to know the kids. So that's the best advice I've ever gotten as far as career. Best advice I've ever gotten was mom and dad too. And they always taught me, you always treat people nice. I remember hearing dad say, it's nice to be important, son, but it's more important to be nice. And following that throughout my life, it's so true. It's so true. I get rewarded in so many ways as far as friendships and how you doing, Mr. Sanchez, and giving you a shoulder hug, and I look back, it's because I feel, well, why? How can they still remember me? I think it's because just out of being brought up that way, I always treated them nice. If I could be of any help to them in any way I can, if I couldn't, I refer them to somebody, and so on. So the best advice that I got from mom and dad is treat people nice, treat them like they're so important to you, and I still do that. I still do that. But yeah, that's the best advice I got from mom and dad, and the other one's from Ray Guzman as far as my career. Yeah,
that's awesome. It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. Wow, that's wise. What is your purpose in life?
As I get older, I've realized that my purpose in life is to be a servant to others. That's my purpose in life. That's the way I look at it. When I was younger, I didn't even see that. When I was younger, of course, starting my career and everything, it was more important to me to be successful. Not that I don't want to be successful, but now, as I get older, it's okay to, you want to be successful, but to me, it's more important to be a servant to help others be successful. If you can help somebody be successful in whatever they're doing, whether it be teaching, whether it be business, whether they're starting their own business, whatever it might be, if you can be a help to them in any way you can to help them succeed, then to me, that's important. And if they come asking for help, it's even more important that you do offer the help. Because for some reason or another, they're looking at you for help. And it's so easy to say, oh, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. It's, well, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Call this person, call that person, call this company, call this, and so on. Just being a servant. And so my purpose in life right now is being a servant and being the best dad, granddad, friend, neighbor that I can be. That's the way I see my purpose in life right now.
Whose death greatly affected you?
It would have to be Dad. When I lost Dad. Dad's been gone almost 15, 20 years. Dad and I would spend a lot of times together. We have a little place down at the coast, and he loved fishing. I'd take him and mom all the time, and as the years went by, I remember being on the pier one night, and I started looking at Dad real closely. I says, Dad's getting up in age. Dad's getting up in age. It's important to spend more time with him. Not that I didn't. I always spend time with him, but as much as I can. So when I lost Dad, that was tough. That was tough. Same when I lost Mom. I think losing Dad was a little bit more tougher because that was the first parent that I've lost. And this was somebody that was my mentor and sheltered me and provided everything I needed to be successful in life, and always was always there for us. So losing him was an awakening to me. Also awakening the fact that I still got Mom. I got to continue spending time with her, but I got to spend as much more time as I can, even more. Go out of your way. So yeah, Dad's loss was. It took me, I'm going to say, a good 2-3 years to really be back to myself. Not that it's okay, I don't think about that. I think about that all the time.
Right.
But as far as being able to function, everyday things, it took me a while to get over that. And so that would have to be the.
As you've grown older in age, what things do you see in yourself that came from your dad?
I think how I treat people, how I expect my own kids to treat people, how I expect my grandkids to treat people, how I expect my kids, and my grandkids, how to be respectful of other people. I think all that was taught to me. To me, it's important, and my grandkids and kids, and anybody that I associate with is that way. Thankfully, there's not too many friends or people that I know that are completely the opposite of how I feel. And if there is, I don't judge them. That's their business. But I tend to stay away from them because to me, it's a negative feeling, and I don't want that negative feeling. So yeah, that's what I learned from Dad the most. Is just, again, his line was always, it's important to be, or it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. That has stuck with me, and it's still there.
Yeah,
it's still there.
That's gold. Was your dad from San Antonio? Did he go to South San?
Dad is in San Antonio. Dad did not go to South San. Dad was in the service. Okay, Dad did not have a formal education. I think Dad went up to as far as the 5th grade, and then he stayed home. And when I say stayed home, working to help, with the finances at home with his mom and his dad and so on, which were my grandpas and grandma. But I say Dad didn't have very much education, but he was the smartest man ever. I mean, they're smart in another way,
right?
With life and
life
people,
smart.
Life smart. Which a lot of times you see people that are real educated and they're not life smart. It's like, I'd rather, be life smart than the other one. No.
So your grandparents, they grew up, or are they originally from San Antonio, or did y'all come from Valley?
My mom and dad are from San Antonio, but my mom's mom, my grandma, they came in from Mexico. Yeah. Matter of fact, my grandma never became a citizen. Okay, and she lived in Seguin. My grandpa and grandma lived in Seguin, and she did tutoring on her own. She would work with the kids, tutor them in the whole bit. And they called her the teacher because she always had somebody at home. And she, again, grandma didn't have a formal education, but I remember visiting, and she says, I'm gonna I forget the name's gonna come in because I gotta help them with her math and so on. And she'd go in the room and she'd be tutoring them, right? and we were just, wow, grandma's actually teaching.
Yeah.
But yeah, my parents, my grandma was from Mexico. My granddad was from the States. Mom and dad were from here.
From here.
Yeah.
Okay. If you were to die today, who's the one person you would call right before?
I would say that's a tough one because there's so many important people in my life and have had an impact on my life. But I think before I left, it would have to be my kids. I'm cheating because you said
Yeah,
one
we'll get
person.
to your kids, not your kids.
Okay, so I would say it would be my wife because she's been a real good support system too.
What would you tell her?
I would tell her thank you very much for the blessing you've been to me. It's been 35 something years and it's still not enough. But I would just say thank you. Everything you did for me. Thank you for being my wife. Thank you for being a great mom. Thank you for just being fantastic. And I'll see you in heaven when you're ready.
And what about your kids? What would you tell them? Each of them.
Same thing. I would thank them for being good kids. Thank them for making me a proud dad. I would thank them for being successful, making every effort to be successful. I would thank them for raising our grandkids how I feel should be raised. I would just thank them for making me a proud dad and just always doing what they need to do and making me proud. I always tell even today, my kids, one's going to be 50, the other one's 40 something. I always tell them, I'm really proud of you guys. I didn't do anything. Yeah, you did. You make me a proud dad every day. So thank you for that. So that they would definitely be in the picture. Would definitely be in the picture. So my wife and kids.
Do you believe in God?
Oh yes. Oh definitely.
Why?
I believe in God because one, I don't think it's by accident that we are who we are. Okay? I believe in God. I was raised Catholic. Okay? We'd go to St. Joseph every Sunday. My mom would
You said Father Guy, and I was like, because Father Guy used to be the priest.
Okay.
Yeah, St. Joseph.
So
That's
I
where
got
I
it
was.
mixed up. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, definitely believe in God. I think it was the Catholic upbringing and so on. We'd pray before we eat. Sometimes we didn't pray, but I always knew. And Mom, not a Sunday would not go by that we would not attend church and so on. So I learned from that. And then, again, like I said earlier, I don't think it's by accident that you came to be or that I came to be or the road that you're taking and the people you're involved with or the people that you're married to Judith. It's not by accident. I strongly feel that somebody, being God, has this big old planner and he's got plan for us and he's in control. He's in control. He's the one behind the wheel and so on. When you see when you see you're at the beach and you're walking the sands and you see the sun coming down and you see this just beautiful water and beautiful, that just didn't happen. Somebody is responsible for that, and the only one that could ever do something like that would be God. Would be God. And I try to serve him and be in his image. Am I the best at it? Probably not even close. But every morning I wake up, I say I'm going to be a good servant, a blessing to somebody, the best that I can today. Because I want to meet him one day. I really do. I want to meet him when I open my eyes and go, wow, I'll finally get to meet the guy that I admire and the whole bit. I'm here. So yes, I definitely believe in God. I always will. Always have, always will.
That's what I was going to say. Has your faith always been strong?
Stronger as I get older. When you're younger, church is the last thing in your mind.
Yeah, my only reason I go to church is because Mom would make me go to church as a kid. Right?
Yeah. And I remember younger, you would always say, help me God on this kid, But it was like, I was just saying it, right? Now when I say, Lord, help me with this child here. How can I get across? Now there's more meaning behind it.
Right.
You know, I need, this is too much for me to handle. I need your help,
Right.
God, help me. Now, when I say, oh, dear Lord, help me, now it has meaning.
Right.
Back then, I was just saying it.
Right. Back then it was, God, take care of this kid. Now it's give me the tools to
Exactly.
reach this kid.
Exactly. Now it has a lot of meaning behind it.
No, well said. What's the one thing you think when you look back at your life and you're like, that was a challenge that taught you a very, very important lesson?
I think the challenge was growing up. I grew up on Masters, Laredo Highway, Pitlock, on that area.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge was making sure that going to school, right? Because that old cliche, I used to walk uphill in the snow and a whole bit. Well, I didn't walk uphill in the snow, but I would walk to school. And then after band practice, I would run back home because it was dark by then. The biggest challenge was, to me, was to make mom and dad feel comfortable that I'm okay, that there's no challenges right now for
With
me,
you.
that I'm okay. You're doing a great job. You're doing and they did a fantastic job. They provided the best that they could, and they did a good job with it. I never went hungry. I had a roof under my head. I had clothes. You know, I was disciplined because of them, right? I learned how to treat people because of them. And so my biggest challenge was, because mom and dad would worry a lot. Mijo, I'll take off work so I can come pick you up after. Dad, you don't have to do that. I'll get a ride.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times I didn't get a ride. I would just run home.
Mm.
And we didn't even, who dropped you off? Herman dropped me off. Oh, I didn't even see him. Yeah, well, he took off. He was in a hurry. So it was a challenge for me to make sure my parents felt comfortable with what's going on in my life.
Mm.
You know,
How many were y'all?
there was 4 of us. I'm the youngest.
You're
of
the
the
baby.
4. Yeah. My oldest brother been gone. I lost him about 5 years ago. But they all went to South San.
What year was your oldest brother?
He graduated in the 60s from South San. My 3 oldest brothers all graduated in the 60s. They were like 62, 65.
Oh, so there's like a big gap between you and
Oh,
your
yeah.
oldest.
Oh, yeah.
10 years or so?
Yeah. Mom always said I was an accident, but a blessing.
Well, that's why they took care of you, right? They're like, we got to take care of this last one.
My brother used to tease me. He goes, man, when we got in trouble, we got smoked in the behind, right? You've never been spanked. You were never spanked by mine because I was a good kid. There were times closely, I almost got spanked, but yeah, there was 4 of us. There was 4 of
All
us.
boys?
All boys.
Really? Okay.
All boys.
So you're the one just older than you. How many years apart are y'all? Are you close with him?
My next oldest, he's about 8 years apart from me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, so there was a big gap.
Oh, yeah.
The next one.
Yeah. I still recall my brother, right? The ones next to me,
Mhm.
right? Wanted to take his girlfriend to the movies downtown, right? And my mom would say, you can take, I forget her name. You can, Margaret. No, it's not Margaret. That's his wife right now. I forget her name, but he says, you can take her to the movies downtown, the Texas Theater. The big theater was downtown.
Not the one right here.
No. There was no theaters around the neighborhoods. It was downtown.
Uh-huh.
If you take Alex with you. Okay, so he didn't have a choice. He wanted to go, right?
You're going to the movies all the time, huh?
So we get to the movies. He says, okay, here's money for popcorn and a Coke. You sit upstairs. That's just fine by me. Just give me my Coke and popcorn. So I sit upstairs, and him and his girlfriend be down and watch the movie down there. After the movie's over, I would meet him at the front, and then he would always say, "If Mom asks where you sat next to us." Okay, that's fine. And Mom went, "How was the movies? And where did y'all sit?" Right there, like in the middle, in the front row, right there. My brother just be staring at me as I'm getting the answer.
You better not. You better not.
Yeah, there was 4 of us.
So they went to South San too.
Yeah.
Awesome. And your oldest, so did the oldest graduate with Robert Zamora?
No. He was younger.
A little younger
Yeah,
still.
a little
Okay.
younger than Robert. Because I remember him talking about Coach Zamora,
Mhm.
the baseball team and so on. But yeah, I
So
think,
he was a coach already by the time you were going to Dwight, right? Coach
Rob-
Zamora?
Oh yeah, matter
He
of
was-
fact,
So you
The-
met him because he was a coach there
right
already.
at Dwight.
Mhm.
He was at Dwight. Matter of fact, he's the first coach that ever gave me a birthday gift.
Really?
Let me tell you what the birthday gift was, right? Because back then was a different time.
Okay.
right?
Oh, so it was licks. He gave you some paddles or something.
He goes, guys, today it's Alex's birthday. We're gonna sing happy birthday, and everybody's singing happy birthday at a key and a whole bit. He goes, okay, come get your present. And me thinking, wow, he got me a present. He goes, how old are you today? 14 or whatever. And he goes, okay, I'm not gonna give you 14, but I'll just give you one. One what? He goes, bend over. Bah! Give me a paddling. One paddling. He goes, happy birthday. This is and every time I see him, I says, the one birthday present I'll never forget is yours. And that holds true to today.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you ask Coach Zamora, if you ask him, what present did you ever give Alex? He'll tell you.
He'll tell you. Yeah. This is why you were at Dwight. So were y'all in PE or?
It was in
or
PE class.
Okay.
It was PE class. Yeah, he gave me a lick. That was my birthday present.
Yeah. So your 14th birthday is pretty what? Late 60s, mid 60s.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So that football field there. Yeah, he was a coach there. Well, Durbin was a coach too, wasn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah.
Was he? Who was the superintendent when you were at South San?
The superintendent,
Do you remember?
Dr. Harper.
Dr. Harp.
Harper was the superintendent. And then
And who was on? Do you remember? Was the head on the board then?
I don't recall,
Remember?
just to be honest with you, but I know Dr. Harper was the superintendent.
Superintendent.
Yeah, he's the one that almost not ended up being at South San, and
Really?
that's another story in itself, because I ended up signing a contract to be the assistant band director at South San, and then Mr. Stevens was going to be the head band director, right? And I signed the contract, came back, and we're having lunch, and Bob Stevens tells me, oh, by the way, did I tell you you're going to be in charge of the flag girls? Back then, you didn't call them color guard. It was the flag girls
Oh.
because they were all made of females, right?
Mm.
Just throughout the state, I says, no, nobody told me I was going to be in charge of the flag girls. He goes, well, you're going to be in charge of the flag girls. And you're going to have a class, and you're going to be responsible for them competing and so on. And I told him, Bob, I don't know anything about flags and this kind of stuff. How could you put somebody in charge? He goes, I says, I need to go talk to Dr. Harper. And he goes, all right. Calls. He says, he'll see you right now. So there I am, right? Ready, wise and dumb at the same time, right?
Mhm.
It's like, Dr. Harper, he goes, when you and I talk, you never mentioned that I would be in charge of the flag girls. And don't get me wrong, I says, I'm not saying you made a wrong decision, but I don't know anything about this flag business, so I prefer not to do it because I feel so inadequate. He goes, and again, sir, nobody ever mentioned this to me, and I'll never forget. He goes, Rosalie, that was his secretary, will you get Mr. Sanchez contract out here for me? Puts it on his desk, goes, Alex, do me a favor, son. He goes, can you read line number 7? And line number 7 read, and any other duties assigned. He goes, I'm assigning you this duty. He goes, do you want the job or you don't want the job? It's just, yes, sir, I want the job. And he goes, and you best have the best group ever. You better give 100%. I expect that from you. Yes, sir. Well, then, of course, that's when we started the color guard.
Mhm.
That's another story in itself. But yeah, Dr. Harper, yeah, he put that contract
You get it on.
right
You
in
put the
front.
contract
Yeah,
out.
you want a job or not? Of course, I want the job.
I guess that's just testament to show that sometimes in the midst of hearing bad news,
Yeah.
all the beautiful things that come
Yeah.
after with that experience, right?
And like I said, I guess it was meant to be, because later on in years, the main event came around. We started the main event, and they won something like 6 or 7 state titles.
So when you say the main event, what does that mean?
That's the name of that we gave the color guard.
That's the name you gave the color guard
Yeah.
of South San,
Yeah,
right?
because-
so other color guards have different names.
Yes, yeah, and they still have that name.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you still hear the main event.
I've heard it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was because of Dr. Harper that the main event exists.
Wow.
But
What rivalry teams do you remember the most when you were going to high school?
as far as
Other schools.
other schools, our
Mhm.
rivalry, of course, is always Harlandale,
All right.
McCollum, and that was it. I mean, that was the rivalries.
Mm-hmm.
McCollum, Harlandale, and I think we still have that rivalry. It's not as intense as it was back then, but I remember Ray Guzman telling, "Hey, we got to show up that Harlandale band, so do it again."
Did drumlines was drumlines still the big hype going down?
Oh, yeah.
Competing and stuff.
Yeah. Now they even have just what they call the indoor drum line.
Mm.
You know, you have indoor color guard. When we say indoor, you're competing inside a gym. Well, now this activity has gotten so big. Now we have indoor percussion also. So you have percussion competing in a gym situation. And now they also have what they call indoor winds. All it is a miniature band competing in a gym with their instruments and percussion and everything else. So it just to be just indoor guard. Well, now you got indoor color guard, you got indoor percussion, indoor marching band. You have all that goes on now.
Yeah. I've got a question for you.
Sure.
This might get you in trouble.
Uh-oh. Hopefully not too bad.
With your consulting world. Do you think that the way the industry of judges and judging band is accurate? I think in all my I've gone to watch my sister's band competition. My mom goes even after the kids were gone. I don't know why she goes to every band thing, yelling, and she loves it. And to me, when I go to these band things, and I'm like, man, that band sounded amazing. And I will be fair that sometimes the production adds to the spice, and it's like, okay, I really like that song that they played. Okay, so maybe I'm a little biased to that. Or sometimes I've seen amazing shows and sounds amazing, and they lose. They get a 3 or a 2 or 1 is the best, right?
Right.
And then, and I'll tell you, there were times where I was like, oh man, they're gonna lose. And South San got a 1. And I was like, oh yeah. But then when South San loses and it's not in my convenience, I'm like, oh man, that was messed up. We sounded way better than them. So I know there's a trained ear. Okay, I would take that, but it's not and this is maybe my engineering approach or mathematical. It's not a legitimate, like, you scored a touchdown and you won. Right. It's that trained ear judges, and to me that it's more qualitative than it is quantitative.
Well, you got to look at it. Well, let me backtrack. I'd say 99.9% of judges, when they judge a band, are more than fair. They're real conscious as far as, I got to make sure I put the right numbers down, because these kids work so hard, directors work hard, the community boosters work, so they're making a very sincere effort to make sure whatever they're putting on paper is as accurate as can be. Okay, and again, every panel that I've judged with, they feel just like I feel. I feel the stress of,
it's a lot of weight on that number.
I gotta make sure because these kids work hard, and I'm gonna make sure the numbers are there. So like I said, 99.9% of judges, that's their philosophy. Okay, I don't think there's ever a judge that goes, whatever. They don't exist, right? Now, it's kind of like refereeing, and when you're a baseball umpire, right? They'll say safe, and people think, man, was he? It looked like he was out to me.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes subjective.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes judging a band can be subjective, right? Because they have this production going, and one judge might really like the colors they're using, and this other goes, I mean, the colors are not bad, but I didn't think they were the best. Yet another one over here saying, I really love those colors.
Right.
So there's always a little bit of subjective, in judging.
Right.
Okay. And I think that's what makes it very stressful, because you got to take your own personal
Mm-hmm.
wants or likes, throw that out the window and say, okay, did the colors work for the band? Did it work for this production?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So are there flaws? Yeah, because we're all human.
Mm-hmm.
Have I gone home at times after a judge and tell myself, man, I felt like I didn't judge that group right. I should have scored them higher. Or sometimes I'll go, I should have scored this other group a little lower.
Mm-hmm.
You always have that. So again, it can be subjective, but good judges, and like I said, they're real conscious about
Right.
putting those numbers down.
And I'm not saying it's anything against the integrity of the judges. I think systematically, it's flawed. There's not high. I don't know. It's just like if we had some instruments, like singly auto-tuned into each. Like, okay, now we're talking who's the best.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, he never went flat. He never went sharp, and then his foot placement should have been here.
Right.
Like, and there's little lights that light up when you touch it. Right. Now we're talking super high tech. Right.
Yep.
But it's just, and anytime I've learned to participate in things like that, I always end up disappointed just because I'm like, oh, it's not fair. And then, like I said, I acknowledge the hypocrisy in. Well, it tended to favor us here or there, but then also, growing up when you're not the best or the fan favorite, and you're just an average kid. You're not the worst kid, and you're not the best. You're just the average kid, and you're thinking, oh, nobody's gonna look out for me like that on the judge panel, or they only won because they're the favorites, right? And so any system that's set up like that, it's just been logged into my head, like, oh, it makes me frustrated.
Well, yeah, it's like, again, there's a little bit of subjectiveness going in there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it just depends, because you can have two judges judging the music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Between 1 to 100, you give them where you think they're at. I could give them a 90. This guy will give him a 94. Okay, or I could give him a 90, and this other judge will give him an 80.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like I said. He's safe, and everybody's going, oh, I don't know about that one. He should.
Mm-hmm.
How many games are you going to? No, he's out. He's out.
Right.
And they don't change the call. It stays the same. So you have that in competitions too. All right, but the systems that they have, I think, with the training that we get, and a lot of these judges get training, it's not the perfect system.
Right. It's the best it can be.
But it's the best it can be.
Yeah.
Because everything is just evolving to this big old production. And it's a lot going on. And you can imagine, I know I judge at a competition, or many competitions I've judged, where there's 34 bands. And I got to rank them 1 through 34.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's wild.
Yeah.
And you like doing that?
I enjoy it.
Yeah, you're out there.
I enjoy the stress, and as soon as the last band gets off the field, I'm gone.
I'm in San Diego today. I'm in Fufudes. I'm in Dallas. I'm in Or what do I always see on your Facebook? This is my office today in Corpus Christi.
I do a lot of consulting. I enjoy it. It's I see it more as mentoring the directors. They call me for a reason, right? Whether it's me or somebody else, they'll call me because they need help in certain areas. So you have the opportunity. Again, we talk about being a servant. I see this being a servant to them, because yes, I'll put you in my schedule. I'll come do the work for you. Of course, people there's a saying, "Are you really a servant when you're getting paid?" I says, "Yeah, because I could easily say no, I don't have the time to go, though I do have the time to go." You know, so I see it as a mentor, helping them out. And there's a lot of people out there, directors, just need help. They need help. So
all across Texas, and
Yeah.
I think even as I've grown older, you know, I haven't seen again, I'm not a band. I'm just gonna admit I wasn't in band. I was in mariachis.
you're a mariachi,
Right. And
a musician.
when I came to the band world, and I did band in middle school, like 6th grade, and I started playing sports. So I hadn't seen music in like that gap between 6th to
Right.
11th grade. And then when I took music theory with Mr. Lundstrom, and I'd
Yep.
seen him just recently, and man, me and Lisa thought I think Lisa dropped band or something. We got the highest grades in that band in class, and everybody else was in band. And I was like wanted to learn, so I came in there with that approach, and also a little bit of the competitive football side of things. So being in mariachis and growing through the track that I took, sports, and then back into music, it had always been pretty steady seeing Mr. Sanchez there, right, and seeing like that tenured band director.
Right.
It seems now band directors are swapping in and out. That role is not the steadfast role it used to be back in the day.
Band directing has become like coaching, right? You see coaches move around, right? Especially in coaching, you see it. Now, there's exceptions. I mean, there's somewhere a coach will stay at a certain area for 10, 15 years or so on. Or they'll coach 10 years and then they go into administration and so on. Band directing has become the same, right?
Like a stepping stone type of role.
Sometimes, yeah. The younger ones coming in, they take a gig and they find out this is not really what I wanted, so I'm going to look for something better. And there's just so many bands now, so many programs. It's easy to move around. It's really easy to move around. So back then, there wasn't as many bands programs, so it wasn't as easy to move around.
Oh, well, that's why.
Yeah.
You had to jump. See, but everybody who thinks of Mr. Sanchez, they don't think of you as principal at except for me, because I was about to get paddled. They don't think of you as principal at Royal Gate, right? They think of you as South San's band director,
Yeah.
and that holds a lot of weight. But I don't know, maybe you making those jumps helped you career-wise, financially, to be a principal and then come back. But
at that time, I wanted to get the experience as far as administration. But even when I was doing principal work, I was still doing the consulting in the evenings or the weekends and so on. So I never really left the field. I left the band hall at South San as a director, but I was active with other groups and so on while I was doing the principal work. And that's why I was at the elementary, because elementary, by 5 o'clock, I was done, right? School was let out at 3:30. I would stay till 5. And then went directly to the band hall, whether it be John Marshall, whoever called me, and worked with them. So I never really left. Right. But I think, coming back, that was a blessing in itself. Because I was out of South San Band Hall for about 10 years, 10 to 12 years. And coming back, I was on fire again. I want to have fun band directing. Administration, don't get me wrong, I loved it. I enjoyed it. I got to know the community, the kids, teachers, but it wasn't my passion.
Right.
It was band directing was my passion.
I think Miss Flores told me you and her got to work close together.
Yes.
But while you were at Royal Gate.
Yes. Yeah. I've been very blessed. I've worked with great people. I don't think there's ever anybody I work with that we didn't get along or that we didn't like each other. I haven't experienced that. So again, Flores, Ruben, Elda, you name it. You name it. That's the one thing. that I think has been very helpful as far as being a servant. You know, they always remember you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they always remember you as a hard worker. I've never heard anybody say, that's the smartest guy I ever known. I've never heard that, right? I always heard, oh, you were the nicest guy. You were the nicest guy. And it's okay.
Uh-huh.
That's okay, you know? But, yeah, just some cool stuff. Some cool stuff.
Yeah, there's such a everlasting presence I think you've left on the band
Well, thank
industry at South San. And I know you know it. There's no way you don't see it and feel it. I can't imagine a parade without Mr. Sanchez walking in it, right? I can't and I know, like you said, there's been some churn in the band over, maybe it was over those 10 years you weren't there, and for me it feels like I see it now, and that's why I gave my example of I didn't come up the traditional band route, so I might be just speaking off of one-offs here and there, but you know, when you think of South San Band, you think of Alex Sanchez, right? You think
thank you for the kind words. That's nice. You know, I see it as, again, you asked earlier, do I believe in God? Yes, I do. I think he has a plan for all of us, and that's the plan he had for me, whether I liked it or not, right? I mean, I had offers from great programs, the Northeast, North Side, SASD, but I chose to stay at South San because I felt these kids not only need a band, they need mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
They need guidance, they need direction. And I think I can help them. I know I can help them. And that's what always kept me back, right? And now, do I regret doing that? No. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Mm-hmm.
Did the job, was it a challenge at time? Oh, yeah. It was a challenge at times. Was it fun all the time? About 90% of it. There was some times where I'm going like, maybe I shouldn't be here any longer, you know. But I think we all go through that. But when the plan is there for you and somebody's driving that plan for you, you know, people always ask me, how did you last at South San 40 years? And I look and goes, that's a good question. That's a very good question. And my answer to them is, all I can say is, you know, the community was great. The kids were great. I was blessed with great administrators. And this is, yeah, but South San's always in the news about this and that. It says, yeah, that's what you see on the news, the bad stuff. But you don't see that kid that you work with that can't afford an instrument, and you're able to get him an instrument through the band, and you see that kid successful, and you see that kid graduate, and then you see that kid being successful. You don't see that part of it. You're not going to see that on the news. That's the rewarding part of it. Maybe that's why I stayed at South San all those years, because it was rewarding to see those kids being successful. That's it. So yeah, you won't see that on the news, but that's throughout. I'm not the only one. A lot of teachers come back at South San. That's why they're there. They'll tell you we have the best kids. You know?
Yeah, and I think the fact that you went to South San, that's that extra push where you're me, right? Like you're just like me, and if you can, I can too. So I think that level really is next level for the students to have a mentor. And I've never, outright Mr. Sanchez is my mentor, and I wasn't even in band. I wasn't, but the connections and those little things that I'm able as a student to pick up, and we weren't daily hanging out or talking, but I think again the impact and the fact that you're in those spaces and we are the same, right? I mean the community you lived in before I was even born, right? Is where I lived growing up and live now, but the lasting effect on that, and 40 years is a long time, for sure, for anybody to do anything. I mean, it's a lifetime for many people.
That's always is a line. Funny you say that. I says, you were at South San 40 years? Yes, I was given a life sentence.
Life sentence. Yeah, and the people, great people who came. I mean, around the time, did you go to school with Henry Bonilla? Was he
Yes.
your year? Or did he,
Henry was in band.
he was in band.
He
too?
was a trombone player. Henry was a senior when I was a freshman.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a heck of a trombone player, and I mean, he ended up going to UT.
UT Austin, journalism.
Journalism. So yeah, Henry. Yeah.
And I mean, just the caliber of students that have gone through those halls. We would say who went through the locker room, who went through the band hall, who went through the hallways of South San, old South San. I guess technically, old South San was where Dwight,
Right.
Fleming, and then now old South San isn't there anymore. But still, the streets are the same.
Yeah. It's home.
Same streets that what we saw, and then now the next generation's seeing. But being in those spaces, giving those little nuggets when you can, I think that goes
it's
a long
home.
way.
Art's about it. It's home. It's home. This is home. Okay. They say, why do you say it's home? I says, because this is where I grew up. This is where my career, and it's still home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would do anything for South San. They call me whoever, anybody associated with South San. Yeah, what can I do for you?
Right.
And it's more rewarding because it's home.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like you paint a neighbor's house, right? And you do a good job, but when you paint your own house and you stand and go, wow, man, wow, this looks good. You know, just nice paint job here. That's the way I look at it. It's home. It's home. It'll always be home. My buddy of mine, you probably know him, Herman Sanchez. You know, he feels the same way. You know, he says, man, this is home. He goes, I don't know what it is about South San, but it's home. He says, well, we grew up here, Herman, and we survived it.
Right.
We survived it. We're still walking. 70 years later, we're still walking.
70 this year you are, right?
Yeah.
55. Wow.
I turned 70. Yeah. I got more years behind me than ahead of me, okay?
Yeah, they've been good years though.
They've been fantastic years.
The feeling you get, you know, when for me when I was going to college and then coming back to the neighborhood, and you begin to pay attention a little bit more, and you don't realize that things do change, but this is home.
Yeah, and change is good.
Mm-hmm.
Change is good, but yeah, I mean, you just nailed it right now. You go Austin, you come back, and something about you get this warmness, right? It's just,
you roll down the windows. You're coming over the Quintana Bridge from 35, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
it's home.
It's home. So let's go through some rapid fire questions before we wrap this up.
All right.
And this will, off the top of your head, it's going to be I'll tell you, it's going to be like, oh man, you make me choose type of questions.
Okay.
So, favorite band of all time?
Favorite band of all times?
Musical, not the concert or not marching band.
My favorite band of all times would be South San.
Okay. Well, what year? What year?
What year?
What year? Favorite?
My favorite band would be 88.
The year of 88, South San band.
Yeah.
What was special about them?
That year, I had the youngest group that I've ever had, young experience-wise. And every competition we went to, that included the color guard and the band, we won every competition and came back with outstanding horn line, outstanding marching, outstanding music. It was just one of those years. Kids, it was a magical year because they were young, but it just all fell together. The show design and everything. So 88. Matter of fact, 88, the color guard went up to nationals. They qualified for nationals that year. Ended up making finals at nationals. So everything it was our year. It was our year. So I would say my favorite band would be the 1988 band of South San.
Okay. Favorite artist?
Favorite artist? My favorite artist would be Barbra Streisand. And I say Barbra Streisand because if you listen to her lyrics, the music is fantastic. But if you listen to her lyrics real closely, it's about her life. It's about life. What's the one song, the big one? Memories. if you listen to those words, it fits you, it fits me, it fits just about everybody in the
Everyone.
world. So Barbara Streisand would be my favorite. Believe me, there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
artists out there that, wow. But her is my favorite one because of her lyrics.
Barbara Streisand. Okay. Favorite genre?
I would say easy rock.
Easy rock. Soft rock?
Yeah, soft rock. The Carpenters, Bread. You probably never heard of those groups.
I've heard the Carpenters.
Bread.
Not Bread.
Barry Manilow, Carly Simon, Chicago.
No,
at that
Paul
time.
Simon.
Yeah, well, that's another one, Simon and Garfunkel.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my favorite. I still have their, I still have the vinyls, and now on DVD because I bought the DVDs, but not DVD, but CDs.
CDs, yeah.
Yeah. I think that whole era, the 70s, that was my favorite time of all the music wise, and then it went into a whole different,
Directions.
which is okay. I mean,
Mhm.
change is good, you know.
No, Main Street.
Yeah, you know. So, yeah.
Favorite song of all times?
My favorite song of all time. Wow. Let me see. I would say One Voice by Mary Manilow. If you get a chance, listen to that look it up. Listen to One Voice by Barry Manilow. And
Barry Manilow?
Barry Manilow. And the reason why I say that's my favorite, because that has so much meaning.
Mm.
It doesn't directly say it, but you know that's what he's talking about as far as why he is entitled One Voice. And on the lyrics you hear, one voice, all it takes is one voice, and then everyone will sing. Well, I always thought it was about singing, right? I'm singing. Oh, you like my singing? How can I sing? But that's not what he was talking about.
Mhm.
What he's talking about, if as a person, if you see something that's not right, then you need to be the voice for that,
Mm.
whether it be for a person or a situation. And then when other people see that you're trying to help those people or whatever, they join in and so on. And that's what that song's about. It doesn't say it directly, but it's
Mhm.
if you listen close, it's about being a blessing to others.
Mm.
And if you have the opportunity to be a blessing because others will be a blessing to you, and it goes around. So yeah, Barry Manilow, One Voice.
One Voice. Well, that's good. Song that always makes you cry.
Oh my gosh. I Did It My Way by Frank Sinatra.
Mm.
That was Dad's favorite. We go to the cabin, we'd be working outside and a whole bit. And he goes, Mijo, put on the Frank Sinatra album. I have a boombox now, Dad. I can put the when Dad first saw a CD, he was like, what's that? And his favorite one was I Did It My Way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, Dad, what's it your favorite song? He goes, son, he goes, I like that song because it reminds me of myself. He goes, your mom and I struggled a lot to make sure y'all had everything and the whole bit. And what I had to do to make it happen, I'm proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was teasing him. I says, hopefully it wasn't nothing illegal. He goes, no, it wasn't illegal. It was all
Not while
good."
you were born.
So, yeah.
Did your dad die in 2008, 2009?
Right about that time.
Because I think I remember you telling us he had passed.
Yeah.
And your uncle had passed too.
Yeah.
He lived in San Francisco in a park or something. Is that?
My-
trying to. You tell the stories,
My
and I remember because I listened.
my dad's brother, okay, and this is why I feel, why we all should be servants.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's brother, his name was Carlos, became a homeless person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not because he didn't have a home, he had a home. Okay, he lived on Golden Street. We lived on Masters.
He
which
lived on
is-
Golden, yeah.
Yeah, he lived on
Mhm.
Golden, and when my grandma passed away, all right, Carlos stayed there at the house, and one night we're sitting there watching TV, and man, this big old heavy knock, loud. And my dad gets up and goes, what is it? He goes, Mom keeps bothering me. This is Carlos, Uncle Carlos saying, Mom keeps bothering me. What do you mean, Mom keeps bothering me? Yeah, she taps me on the shoulder when I'm washing dishes. She'll turn off the lights. She'll turn on. And it was a mental issue. Well, back then, there was no such thing as somebody could go get mental help. And he didn't have insurance, and we didn't have insurance for him to go get that help. So we just kind of had to, for better word, tolerate it or do the best we can with it. But he would take off, but he would always come back. He'd be gone for 3 or 4 weeks and always come back to the house. My dad would go check on the house, and he wasn't there. Well, one time, he didn't come back. He ended up in Galveston, and he roamed around for 9 years, and the only reason we found out where he was because for 9 years we didn't know what happened to him. We didn't know if he was alive, was dead, and so on. But my dad had always given him a card with his name and number, right, phone number and address, and he had it laminated. And he would tell Carlos, carry this in your wallet all the time. Don't let it out of your sight. And he gave him 3 or 4. Put this in your pocket. Put this in your wallet. Well, when he passed away, and it was brought on by a heart attack by the coal, because he would hang around the courthouse in Galveston. He still had that laminated card in his wallet with Dad's number. And they called him. The police department called him, saying, "Hey, we found this in this. We don't know who he is. You'll have to come identify him." Well, we knew. He knew it was him. But yeah, that when I see a homeless person, you never know. A lot of times people say, "Oh, he's just being lazy. He doesn't want to work." Well, that could be true. But how many people are out there that have a mental issue and are living like that? My dad's brother, Carlos, was a good example. He had everything. He had a home. He had everything.
Yeah.
And ended up like that. So
I remember that story. Well, I remember the story, and you said that he used to clean this park, and everybody had stories about him, how well he cleaned it. And
he hung around the park in Galveston, and that was in his mind. I guess that was his job, right? And he would always clean up, put the trash in the trash, and he lived in the alley behind the courthouse. Everybody knew him. They knew him by name, Carlos. They knew that he was homeless and so on. And the reason why he survived 9 years is people would bring him food to eat, and the courthouse, the lawyers knew him, and the attorneys knew him, and they would bring him something to eat and the whole bit. But he that's how he survived. That's how he survived. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry for that sidetrack. I just remember all these stories you're telling me. I'm like, I gotta circle back to this.
It's all
in
good.
All those years.
It's all good.
I was like, if he said it in a classroom in Fertile Plus, he should be good on the podcast. Okay, favorite movie of all time.
Favorite movie all time would be Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump.
Have you seen that movie?
Oh, absolutely.
That is by coincidence that something happened. Isn't that what our life's about?
Yeah.
By coincidence, you met Judith.
Right. Yeah, our roads.
Yeah.
So young for us to have known each other too.
Yeah, I think everything it's planned. Right. I'm a firm believer. We're not here by accident. Well, it happens not by accident. Somebody has a plan for us. And I see that movie and I go, that's what he's trying to tell us. So yeah, Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. All right. Are you promoting anything? Anything you're promoting South San Band Booster Club? Or I don't know. Promoting anything?
What I'm promoting is if you're out there and have free time and you want to help any organization with South San, whether it be band, football team, the cheerleaders, by all means, go get a volunteer form, fill it out, and serve those kids. If you're a retired teacher, administrator, and you have time, come read to our kids at the elementary school, at the high school. Just help those kids be successful, because we want them to be successful. So if I'm promoting anything, it's that The reunion that we just had, the all-class reunion, I know that money goes towards scholarship, and that's a good thing. So I always promote that, saying, hey, show up, even if it's just for 10 minutes. If you can, pay your fee. If you can't, that's fine too. But if you do, understand that it's going towards scholarship the whole bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if I'm promoting anything, would be if there's anything you can do to help our kids in the South San, by all means, do it. Do it. Rather be reading to the elementary kids, reading to the high school kids, helping the cafeteria workers, the ladies as they're carrying those big old trash cans that are heavy. If you can donate once a week to do it, one day for them, whatever you can to help and serve, by all means do it.
Mr. Sanchez, it's nice to be important. It's more important to be nice.
That's my philosophy.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank
Appreciate
you.
it for
This is
coming
great.
on.
This is fun.
Yes,
This
sir.
is fun.
Till
All
next
right.
time.
Till next time.